thank you all for having me. Part of the reason why I'm really happy to be back in Hong Kong is because I studied abroad here, like many of you that are in the audience at the moment. It's probably 16 years ago now. When I came here at that time, we were a really small group. We were 17 students. There were probably 1 or 2 faculty members. And seeing like the growth that we have here in the room tonight from different parts of the university, undergrad, grad school, it's really obvious to see that the university has grown a lot in the last couple of years. And there's a lot of interest in the study abroad program and in Hong Kong. So it's specifically that this interest in studying abroad and going to a place like Hong Kong tonight that I want to share with you one idea, and that idea is to think about your time here in Hong Kong, I'm assuming 3 weeks, as not just 3 weeks intersession, but really the start of a international career and life abroad. And more specifically, what I'm saying is I'm trying to encourage you guys to think about living at least once in your life, not only living, but working abroad in a new country. And so for Americans, that would be, or North Americans, going abroad like Kurt has here in Hong Kong and in Asia. And for internationals like Vanessa in another market, such as North America and in Silicon Valley. When I graduated from USD, I had really no idea what I wanted to do. One day I wanted to be a lawyer, another day I wanted to be a farmer, another day I wanted to work for family business. But when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I realized that coming to study abroad here in Hong Kong and spending the time that I did in China, I wanted to be part of the Chinese growth story. So 3 months after graduation, I packed up and I moved to Beijing. This is a photo of me a few months after I moved to Beijing. In fact, it was in 2008. So this is, by the way, a real life 10-year challenge. This is me in 2008. This is me 10 years later. I'll leave it for you to decide what looks better or worse. One of the things that I realized that you might relate to is I didn't really know where I wanted to go. And I figured that the first challenge is to figure out where in the world would you want to go. You're interested in going abroad. Where should you go? So I picked up, I moved to China. I enrolled in a 7th-month Mandarin Chinese language program. And after I finished that, I realized that I wanted to stay and continue working in China. Unfortunately, at that time, USD didn't really have much of a presence as it does now here in Asia. So I had to reach into some first, some second, some third-degree connections to try and find a couple leads for internships. And thankfully, it was through a third-degree connection, a friend of a friend of a friend, that gave me my first start at a international oil and gas company called Total, which competes with some of the companies you might be more familiar with in the States, like Exxon and Shell. And this guy really gave me my first shot as an intern. And when I say an intern, I mean really I was at the bottom. My first monthly paycheck was 3,000 renminbi, which at that time was about $300 US, which lived a very good life, by the way, in Beijing. My first job was counting cars going into some of the gas stations that we had along the roadway just outside of Beijing. So looking back on it, I would say, if I could offer you guys just 2 tips on if you're interested at least in going abroad and thinking about where to go, it would be this. The first is figure out where the action is. So for me at this time, it wasn't just connecting the dots of studying abroad in Hong Kong. In 2008, China had hosted the Olympics. So everyone from literally all around the world, classmates from Cuba, from Reunion Island, from Russia, from Slovenia, everyone wanted to be part of the Chinese growth story. And by just going by default to a place like Beijing at that time, during the Olympic year, during the height of economic growth, really led by China, I started to meet people and kind of find my own way. And you'll see that there's a second point built in here, is that you can find your own way, but as Vanessa mentioned, you really need people to help you and guide you along that path. So fast forward from my internship in China, that actually has now led to a 10-year career with Total. It's given me a couple of opportunities to live and work in some really cool places like Hong Kong. So I actually came back here even after studying abroad here. Spent 2 years here. It then moved me to Paris. And it even gave me a chance to take a sabbatical to do my master's at USC. So I know there's 1 or 2 Trojans in the house, so fight on to you guys. And I would say as a second tip, if you're really thinking about, and you're even just mildly curious about living and working abroad, it would be to really consider working for a multinational company. I mean, these types of firms have like a lot of resources and a lot of opportunities to move people around. They're looking for young, bright people to kind of help guide them into the future. It's not just related to business. I mean, this point about joining a multinational company, I mean, think about, and I'm trying to encourage you guys, is think about for tech and design, where would be the action and where is all of the centers of excellence happening? I mean, yeah, it could be in Silicon Valley, but it could also be in Zhongguancun, which is just outside of Beijing. It could be in Silicon Beach in LA. If you're interested in human rights, where is the biggest humanitarian crisis right now? How can you guys go in, get involved, and make immediate contributions? And I find that this is something that can really help you guys kickstart your career if you're really thinking about living and working abroad after USD. With that, I just want to conclude by challenging you guys is how do you want to make the most of your remaining days, weeks here in Hong Kong? And how can you use this time in Hong Kong to continue to build your story? Thank you.